Hi, Kat and Sam here from Selvage Knits, and we are actually here in Scotland, Edinburgh, at the end of EYF. We got the opportunity to sit down with Bristol Ivy.
Hello!
And talk to her a little bit about a few cool things, yes.
Talk to both the camera and to you.
Yes.
Yes.
Lots of talking
Lots
to
of talking.
the people.
Yes.
We do that a lot. We do that a lot. Yeah. So to start out,
Yes.
I have always really, really admired your patterns. And one of the things I love, I have your book, and I just love reading how technically well written they are. Like, I mean, I don't know how many people say, I like to read patterns.
No, good. It's a good thing.
And yours are just so absolutely mathematically perfect.
Okay, so
perfection is maybe not the word.
my tech editor would disagree with you, but thank you. That is really nice of you to say.
And maybe it's because, like, as a knitter, as a sign language interpreter, I'm a very visual person.
Yeah.
And in school, math was never my thing. And so to see the side of this hobby that we love so much being so delicately handled in the sort of the math and the science part of the process is really cool. How did that become part of your style?
Yeah, I don't know. It's really funny because I really hated math. Really hated math growing up. I thought it was useless because it didn't have a physical referent. Like, it didn't have a place in my life where it clicked in. So when I started knitting and when I started doing statistics in college, those were like the two times that I was like, oh, this like has a direct corollary. This has a thing that then makes sense. So one of the reasons I love knitting is because it is a logic puzzle in like tactile form. Yeah. It is.
Ooh, I've never heard it. I love that.
Yeah.
I've never heard it referred to that way, but that really makes a lot of
because
sense.
Because it is entirely a series of if-then statements. If I do this, then this is going to happen. And so that is where my happy place is. Like, I did all the logic puzzles growing up. I did tangrams. I did like all of the nerdy things you can think of. And that's big surprise there.
I don't think that's nerdy.
It's
that's just
really nerdy.
no, but it's
well, as knitters,
it's
I'm
a
not
great
sure
exercise, man.
I'm not sure that we really can look at anything and say this is nerdy or that is nerdy. We just have
This is
our little.
fair.
We have our niches.
We do.
Yeah.
I'm kind of obsessed with French cultures, so yeah.
Yeah.
We have a real French culture sometimes. Anyway, so, but yeah, I really just enjoyed that knitting is, it can be so wildly creative on one end and so unbelievably complex and logical on the other end. And just like the back and forth ballet of the two of those is so amazing. Because you can have all the creative ideas, but sometimes those if-then statements don't translate through.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
it doesn't always work out. So like there's always those underlying laws underneath it. One of the things that it's really important for me is knitting doesn't have rules. Knitting has traditions. Knitting has ways that things have been done in the past, but that's not how they have to be done. Like we have all of these things that like we think are the way to do something.
Right.
And that's not true. But there are fundamental underlying ways in geometry, in logic, that knitting works, whether we see it or not. So, like, think about a raglan sweater, for example. Like, how many raglan sweaters have you knit?
A lot.
No. Okay. How many different gauges have you knitted in?
A lot.
How many different stitch patterns have you knitted in?
A lot.
They all work, right?
Yes.
So, the fundamental underlying increase and decrease logic for raglan works no matter the gauge, no matter the yarn, no matter the stitch pattern. Like, the fact that that works across the board is just one of the coolest things ever.
That is really neat to think about.
Yeah.
And again, it's I love
I'm like checking out the sweater now. I'm like,
you've got magic law on you.
I have magic knitting law. I'm wearing magic knitting law.
You are. 8 increases every 2 rows creates 360 degrees.
I want that shirt.
Ooh, that would make a cool shirt.
That's a cool shirt. And I should just go around.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm doing it.
Oh my god, you know what I could do? You could do it in Fair Isle as a yoke band on like a colorwork sweater.
Yes, make that happen.
That would be the most fucking nerdy thing in the entire planet.
But it would also be awesome.
Amazing.
Yes, I would knit it.
Okay. And I think it's maybe your passion for the math piece that's so inspiring. Because I'm just sitting here going, oh my god,
well,
I want to be excited about math too.
I know, it's interesting. Because over the years now that you and I have been in education interpreting for a really long time, you know, maybe you and I weren't the biggest fans of math when we were young, but as you get older and it is more applicable to like real life situations, you can start to kind of get into it and kind of nerd out a little bit about it. And then seeing it come to fruition in a hobby is also like a,
Right.
you know,
Right, because it's finally a practical application.
Exactly.
It's not theoretical. It's not algebra where you don't know what X actually is.
Right.
In knitting, you do know what X is. Like, when we talk about the formula for pie shawls, it's the concept of a radius and a concept of a circumference in typical geometry is so kind of just like nebulous. It's like, what the fuck? It's a radius. Right. But in knitting, a radius is your number of rows, and the circumference is your number of stitches. And that's like, it's so concrete, and we see it every single time we knit in the round. We have that tactile information in our hands. We have that experience that we can then refer out and say, I see what's finally happening.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool.
I love that. Yes. So, you know, to kind of piggyback off of that, what is your actual educational background?
Unsurprisingly, I was homeschooled.
Oh.
Yeah. Unsurprisingly, I was homeschooled all the way through. So from kindergarten to graduation.
Okay.
I was entirely homeschooled, which I think it was fantastic for me because it meant that I could pursue the things that I loved, like arts and theater and writing and all of these things, get the bare minimum done and things like that, which ironic now. But it meant that I could pursue those interests, but it also meant that I never was particularly good at following a set path. Yeah. So I think that's definitely come up in what I do now, because it's just like I tend to ask the why questions of like, why do I have to do it that way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we were actually just talking to someone about this at dinner the other night, about homeschool and how it helps people kind of have more like ability to kind of self-assess and figure out what works for them and what doesn't work for them.
Yes.
And it can, you know, lead people to be really successful in that because they're not shoved into this one-size-fits-all.
Right,
and that
totally.
you're forced to figure out and do that like self-assessment on what works for you.
Yeah, and I totally I went through all of the like freak out, try to fit in college. Like I really wanted to do the straight and narrow and fit in and be normal and all that sort of stuff. And just kind of came to the realization after a while that it's like, why?
Yeah.
It's like I'm trying to make other people happy and trying to make my life fit other people's standards, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna do that anymore because, and I mean, obviously it's a daily thing that we work on, but I had an opportunity. I was gonna go to grad school and go into, I was gonna get my PhD in symbolic and cognitive anthropology.
Oh.
Yep. And then start a nonprofit in the fiber world because that was a way to make my interests legit and normal, was to like go through that path and like be a nonprofit. And I was finally just like, no. Well, okay, I applied to grad school and they said no. And I was like, sweet, all right. And so,
it's working out though.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes things work out the way they're supposed to.
Yes,
and especially when you're like, this isn't what I want, but I feel like I should be there.
Yes.
And then it doesn't, and the sense of relief is like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not everybody has to go down any sort of traditional path. And
right.
I think that's
totally. And I'm going to be totally nerdy here. There's a Shel Silverstein poem. Did you guys ever read Shel? I love him so much. He has a poem that is, let's see if I can do it all. Listen to the mussins, child. Hang on. What is it?
I know which one you're talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
What is it? Child, listen to the mussins, child. Listen to the don'ts. Listen to the shouldn'ts, the impossibles, the wants. Listen to the never haves, then listen close to me. Anything can happen, child. Anything can be.
Yeah.
And that's like.
I think that one's for like me.
Yeah. I had all of them.
Those. I know.
They all of them.
They're so good.
Yeah, but that's my little heart song.
I love that.
Frame and put up. That's one of the.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I had that on my wall as a teenager for a very long time.
I love it.
My bright purple room.
So, did you ever think that you would be a published author?
So I was at my parents' house probably like a year ago now, and I came across some of my notebooks from when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when I was in 3rd grade, I was like, I would like to be a published author someday.
Oh.
Wow.
Because I was a writer. Like, I was a writer before I was a knitter. And funnily enough, like, when I rediscovered knitting when I was like 17 or so, I pretty much stopped writing.
Oh.
Because it became like, this became my creative outlet. It became the logical structure. But yeah, I used to write poetry, I used to write short stories, I used to do all that sort of stuff. So I was like, I'm gonna be a writer. So like the fact that I found that and I was like, oh snap, like that actually did that actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's still completely surreal that it's a thing. But I had forgotten that was a goal of mine at one point. So coming back to that and being like, oh,
I did that.
retroactive tick.
Yes.
Okay. Success. I still don't. It's still weird.
Do you
It's
have
still
any
so strange.
plans in the works for more?
Yes. I
Yes.
do. We're shooting it next week.
That's
That's
so exciting.
That's
So
very
exciting.
exciting.
And also terrifying because I'm not done knitting it yet. So it's
Are
fine.
you close?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine.
My voice gets really high pitched when I talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but so it's what we're doing is it's again going to be with Pom Pom because they're fantastic. I love them so much. But where we're just going to do our. Did you guys get like zoo books or wildlife fact files when you were growing up?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, the wildlife fact file.
Okay, see, I was a zoo books girl. Will, my fiance, is a wildlife fact files boy, and so like we actually have rumbles about this because I'm like, fucking zoo books was amazing. He's like, no. But so we talked about how you would get new papers like every couple weeks, and you would add them to your binder. And that's kind of what we're gonna do, is we're gonna add like additional chapters to the original Knitting Outside the Box. So we're gonna print little like chapter addendum to them, and then hopefully at some point we'll do like a little box set, and it'll be really cute.
That's so
So,
exciting. Love that
I'm
idea.
really excited about it because it's like we get to delve into one specific topic really deeply, and just really play within that topic. So yeah, I'm really excited about it.
I love that.
I am so gonna geek out.
Yes.
Yes.
When should we start looking for it?
It's gonna come out at Rhinebeck this year, 2019.
Be prepared at Rhinebeck.
If I
You will
finish
see
it,
Kat and I.
We're
knocking
gonna be
people
knocking
over.
people over to get to it. Yeah, don't
get in the
don't
way.
block me.
Yeah.
We'll throw some elbows in there. It's good.
Yeah.
Yes. Although those New Yorkers,
Oh yeah.
they throw some elbows.
I know. I can be tough.
They throw some good elbows.
Uh-huh.
I might. You can go first.
I'm getting mine.
Yes.
Okay. Recently you posted on Instagram just sort of about being unapologetically yourself and who you are and how you felt about that.
Yeah.
And it was so very inspiring because I feel like with social media the way it is right now, it's very easy to feel like you have to be, picture perfect ready
Right,
all the
right.
time, and you have to constantly be on. And
Yeah.
I think that so many people can relate to what you said, and I'd like to hear more
Yeah.
about how.
Well, and it's so funny because I feel like it's always a continual cycle for everyone. We get to that point where we're like, fuck yeah, we're amazing. And then a month later, we're like, I am the worst. I'm gonna go crawl in a corner.
Jelly
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, jelly
Oh.
person.
Yeah.
We're like, let me compulsively eat all the cookies at Panera.
Yes.
So,
Is that
The
wrong?
tulip
Are we not
cookies are
supposed to
super
do
good.
that?
I happily do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
happily do that.
Panera cookies.
Panera cookies, man. Every time. Yeah, I think that, especially going back to like what I talked about with homeschooling and like always thinking that I had to then kind of play by everyone else's rules.
Right.
It is really liberating, but also really terrifying. That realization that like, oh, I could just not care. Or I could work on not caring, I guess is the best way to say it. Like I could work on not caring what people think about me.
Yeah.
So the job that I had prior to working on my own, I had a coworker who was really awful, and I could just like slowly feel myself like building those walls and building that cocoon and trying to do things that would mean that I didn't get noticed,
Right.
and just realizing that that's their own problems. It's not you. It's
Mhm.
whatever they're reflecting onto you from themselves,
Yes.
and you've got to be you. And it's just looking back at like even just the clothes that I wore back then is all gray. It's all gray. It's black. It's like
Mhm.
not exciting at all. And like the clothes that I brought on this trip were all like chartreuse, yellow and green and bright red boots and stuff like that. And it's so much more who I am. So much getting to be who who I want to be. And I think we kind of owe that to especially our kids.
Yes.
To see that. I don't have kids
Absolutely.
yet, but I'm like, I know so many moms who are like, I have to be so much more myself and so much more proud of myself
Yes.
for what it shows to
Yeah.
my kids.
One of the things
Especially
you
girls.
said,
Yeah.
our
Especially
girls.
our girls.
One of the things you said is actually something I have said to my daughter, but I don't personally internalize. So hearing it and being like, oh, it applies to me too.
What was the
The whole thing about how what somebody is saying or doing towards you isn't a reflection of you, but it's a reflection of them, and you can hear it and you can send that kindness back to them that they need, but not let it change who you are.
Right.
And it's hard.
It's really hard.
It's a daily process.
It's something, again, I tell my 8-year-old that, but I don't know how much I ever thought that I needed to hear it, and just hearing you say it to us, to all of us, I'm like, oh, you're right.
I do need to do that, but it's like lifelong work. Like
it really is.
Trying to get there and make it be more of a habit instead of having to be like, once you're in the whole thing of after you had an interaction with somebody that was less than positive, being like, what did I do wrong, blah blah, and getting in this whole cycle, and then having to be like, backtrack, no, but making it like just you're brushing it off and walking away, not letting it affect you at all.
Right. And letting it come back to
goal.
even keel.
Yeah.
So my mom said something super, super smart at one point. She was talking about, she's like, okay, so, excuse me, cider, excuse me. So she was talking about, when we're in yoga, when we're walking a tightrope, we don't expect ourselves to maintain balance. Like, we never hit balance and stay there. We have to constantly readjust and focus and she's like, why do we assume that we're going to hit mental balance and hit that point where we're like exactly comfortable with who we are and that we then get to stay there? Because we don't.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I'm having all these moments.
I know,
I'm getting all the feels today.
That's really brilliant.
Yeah.
And because that's another thing. Then you're just being hard on yourself about something else. It's something else to feel not perfect at.
Exactly. It's like, I'm not perfect at being accepting of myself, so I'm being hard on myself for being hard on myself.
It's a horrible cycle.
It's awful.
Yeah.
So accepting that we're human and accepting that we have the capacity for amazingness, but that we don't have to push for it every day.
Right.
And we don't have to make anyone else happy. And we don't have to make our
I also like the idea of also putting out real life out there.
Yes.
Because like we're talking about with the social media's presences and stuff like that. Yes. You put out what is your best. Like you're like, hey, look at all these perfect moments.
Right.
Everything is a perfect moment. Everything.
But I took 1,000 pictures to get that perfect moment.
Yes.
Exactly.
And so, but then when you're going through it and you're having that, like, when you're in jelly phase and you're like, look how perfect that person is.
Yeah.
But it's nice to stumble across people who are more accepting of being like, hey, check out how much I messed up today.
Yes.
Look at this hot mess that is my life.
Yes. So
yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's really important
and I also think it's important like to sit down and talk to people who are doing amazing things in the knitting world, and we see your published book and we see your amazing knitting patterns, and being able to talk to you and be like, but
I'm not perfect.
And
not in any way, shape, or form.
I think that's one of the things that I love about getting to interview people is getting to talk. And you guys getting to see how real all the people that we look up to in this knitting community are. They're real, they're genuine, they're humble, they want to share with us, and they have really, really great things to tell us. And it's been...
wise words.
I mostly channel other people's wise words, and that way I look smart without actually doing the work. But,
I get that very much. You're very, very smart, and someone definitely to look up to. I'm going to be Bristol when I grow up.
Aww.
So we ask everyone,
yes,
our Selvage question. We named ourselves Selvage because this is the thing that keeps us from coming unraveled, the knitting community, everything.
I love that.
So so what is it that keeps you from coming unraveled?
My cats, because I love them so much. My fiance and my cats together. Like while I've been here, I've been away for about a week and a half now, and I'll be away for another week. And I get like daily pictures of him snuggling the cats.
Oh,
and it's just like. It's like total for Clint situation. He sent a video a couple days ago of one of the cats on his lap having hiccups, and I was just like, this is my heart right here. My parents are like the most supportive people on the entire planet. Like the day I was in New Zealand when I didn't get into grad school, I was in New Zealand. I was working there for 9 months doing sheet farmy stuff and fiber wreath stuff, and it was amazing. But I called them the next day after I didn't get into grad school. I was like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. And they're like, all right, let's do it. Like, they are so supportive and so much like, one of my dad's things was always Polonius from Hamlet says, this above all things to thine own self be true.
Yeah.
So they always were like, follow your own path, follow your own path, follow your own path. And it was definitely me being like, no, I have to be normal. And it's kind of come around to the fact that it's like, okay, no, you were right. You were right.
So often that happens as you get older. You're
Yeah.
like, oh man, you guys were right.
Really
Crap.
smart.
You're like,
wrong.
so
I have
listen.
just saved some time.
Oh,
I just
man.
actually listen to my parents instead of being a rebellious shit.
Yeah, I feel like I do that a lot now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they
Sorry,
always have my back,
Mom.
and they're fantastic. So yeah, and then like you guys, the support network that we have in the knitting community, just like y'all keep me sane because I get to hang out with you, and there's no performance aspect.
Yes.
There's sometimes when you're with a knitting community that you're on still,
Right. Of
and
course.
it's fantastic, and I love meeting everyone. But you are the Instagram version of yourself,
Yeah.
right? You're
yes.
like the best version of yourself, like the most upright and like coiffed and
Right.
makeup and all. Like I can wander around without a bra and my jammies in here, and y'all don't.
And we're
critique.
doing the same exact thing.
exactly.
Also,
So-
for a minute, can we just go back to the cats?
Yes.
Yes. Oh my gosh, the backpack. How is also taking your cat to work?
It's amazing.
I wish I could do
I
that.
know. Okay, so
Yeah, that's
backstory is that Will moved in with me with his cat. Okay, so his cat's name is George Michael. I just need to
What?
add that to the
Yes,
story. He told me that, and I was like,
And then you were like, this is true love.
Pretty
And
much.
We were meant to be together.
yeah,
Yep.
pretty much. So he moved into my apartment about 2 years ago now with his
Okay.
cat George Michael, and I had my cat Yashu. The apartment is 420 square feet,
Okay.
and the one door is the bathroom. The cats still hate each other.
Oh.
It's been 2 years and they still hate each other.
well.
So we're just kind of rolling with that at this point because, like, we can't exactly be like, now kiss. Like, you can't.
You can't force it.
No. So I really
Yeah.
wish you could because that would be great.
They don't have Instagram versions of themselves.
Right?
They're cats are unapologetically themselves.
They're both, like, stupid cute. Anyway, they were like Instagram model cats. It's adorable. I have so many pictures of them on my phone. It's gross. Anyway, so what we were having to do is that to keep them separate when we weren't there, one of them would have to be in the bathroom. And it was just like, this isn't fair. This isn't life. It's not.
Yeah.
So Instagram, which knows me well, in my ads, there was a cat backpack with like a little rocket ship hole in it. And I was like,
spacey.
it does. It looks like he's wearing a spacesuit. And I was like, I could conceivably take him to work because I have an office about a 15-minute walk from my house.
Mhm.
It allows pets. Like, a lot of people bring their dogs in. And to my knowledge, no one else brings a cat in yet, but it could be a thing. And so I was finally just like, you know what, we're going to try this because he's not happy. I know he's not happy. And then George Michael wasn't happy because we'd have to switch him into the bathroom, and he's crazy neurotic and was like climbing the walls. And so it just, yeah, it was
George
Michael
Michael climbing the walls of the bathroom.
I know. Not a public bathroom in New York. Anyway,
Sorry.
deep 80s dive reference there. So, we might ask my parents for a cat backpack for Christmas, and I had to get the biggest size because both my cats are very large.
I got a big cat too.
I know. They're like mega chonkers. They're not messing around. It's so wonderful. So he comes into Will shares the office with me. He does his grad school work there, and I work there. So Yashu comes into the office, and he loves it. Like, he gets us to himself. He gets us to himself. There we go, grammar. He gets sunshine all day. He gets scritches and cuddles and like whatever he wants, and he's thrilled and adorable. And like at the end of the day, this is the cutest thing ever. We'll put the backpack next to him, and he'll hop in and just like sit down.
Oh.
And it's just like, you know, you're doing it right when they like their carrier.
Yes.
Because that's not normal.
That's not normal.
It's not
Not
normal.
for cats. No.
So yes, and also anytime I get stressed, I just go snuggle a little kitten ball.
I mean, there are scientific studies. Lowers your heart rate, lowers your blood pressure.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Okay, sorry. I
No,
know.
it's
I
okay.
went off, but you know.
It's
I love
really
my
fun
cats.
though because like we have plants in there, and he goes with the plants, and I yell at him, and he yells back at me, and I'm like, I am your real mom. Fucking stop.
Hey.
And he's like, okay. So yeah, it's fun. It makes my day a hell of a lot better.
Good.
day to have a cat in the office.
I'm glad.
So beyond crazy cat lady, but I'm
Hey, man.
loving it.
I'm all about owning that.
Circling back,
Unapologetic.
unapologetically yourself,
Unapologetic, yes.
and
I'm about it.
that's how we all roll.
Yes. Yes.
So, rolling on to rapid fire
All right,
questions.
all right,
This
hang on,
is-
let
this-
me-
yeah, that helps. For people who haven't checked us out before, we always try to do quick fire questions, and you just say whatever comes into
Okay.
your head first.
Okay.
And
I'm
see
like sweating
where
slightly
it
now.
goes.
Worried. Okay.
All right. Guilty pleasure snack.
Okay. So this is really embarrassing. Okay. So what I like to do is I like to get Cadbury cream eggs, crack the top off, and then scoop the inside out with pretzel sticks.
Oh my god,
that sounds awesome.
Except I leveled up.
I'm sorry, we have to go. I have to go find Kevin.
I leveled up this year because I couldn't find a little bag of pretzel sticks, so I bought Fritos instead and used those to scoop out the inside. So good.
Ooh, salty and sweet.
It's salty and sweet. It's amazing. I think I have to go back to pretzels because it was a lot, but like for a one-time
Plain
experience.
snack.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Can you imagine just being that little person being?
I don't care. I'm gonna be unapologetically me on the blade.
There you go.
Yes,
There
I'm
you go.
doing this.
Okay,
It's like sad American Pocky. But
Yeah.
totally worth it.
Yeah.
childhood nickname.
Bristol Pistol.
Ooh.
Ask permission or beg forgiveness.
Ask permission. I know.
I love how sad you
I
were
know.
about it.
It's like I really wish I was someone who was still brave enough, but like I'm a very HSP, highly sensitive person.
Yeah.
That's fun too.
Yeah, I'm like way in there, and so like we were talking about last night. When a woman has a conversation, she has 7 different conversations. There's
Yeah.
so many nuances and layers. So anytime I think about my actions, I'm thinking about like the 18 different levels of repercussions of my actions. So I'd rather check it first with
That
the
makes
people that I
sense.
know it affects
I get that.
than assuming that I'm okay. I'm getting better about just being like, we're doing this.
It's
really hard.
And now you're sweating just
I
thinking
say,
about it.
I say good, but I'm the same. I would be the same exact way.
Yeah, I have to ask.
All right, favorite style of short row.
Japanese.
If you had one.
Oh wait, hang on. Sorry. Okay. Japanese for stockinette fabric, German for garter or reversible fabric, and then yarn over for lace.
See, and this is why she's so smart, and you need to check out all of her books.
I feel like I need that on a bracelet.
Yes.
Which one am I going to do this?
I know.
What's the handles?
Oh, love handles.
Love handles needs to get on that, please.
Yes.
Make one of those. I need reminders on the wrist. Okay,
Yes.
sorry.
If you had 1 extra hour a day, how would you use it?
In a being good way or in an actually want to do this way?
However you would like to use that hour. It's your hour.
If I was being good, I would go for a run. If I was being me, I would probably read or cook, bake something. Yeah, those would be my or do something fiber craft related that is not knitting, like embroidery or weaving or sewing or something like that. I love those.
I'm trying to get into other stuff.
Ugh,
I'm one of those people that wants to be really good at it immediately.
I know. I have like a 40-inch floor loom in my office.
Oh,
I have a knitting machine. I have a spinning wheel. I have a sewing machine. I have a serger. I want more time. Yeah. So
we found a solution. We just need an extra hour a day.
Just someone make it happen.
Please.
Coffee or tea? Tea.
That was fast.
I've had coffee like once in my life.
What?
It makes me like caffeine of any kind makes me really paranoid.
Oh.
Like I think people are talking about me when
I need
have
like
caffeine.
a coffee IV.
You do.
Drip.
I can't do it. Like since I've been here, I've been having caffeine and it's been okay. But I know when I get home, if I have caffeine, I'm just like, what'd they say? Are they mad at me? Did I do something? So about my cat, it'll be like,
What did the cat say?
the cat hates
Is the
me.
cat talking?
Is it mad?
It's George Michael.
He makes his opinions known. He is fucking sassy. He's so sassy. Sorry.
Would you rather be stuck on an island alone or with someone you hate?
Alone.
Her face,
The
the intensity
intensity.
on your face.
Oh my God,
Alone.
I am such an introvert. Like, I would be totally okay being by myself for months at a time.
I'll be alright. Brioche or cables?
Brioche.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at breakdancing?
-35.
Oh,
That's a good number.
Okay.
I was a ballet dancer. Like, I don't have the necessary, like,
You
You
can't,
can't be pretty
you
in
can't
hip-hop.
I
break
can't-
it.
no.
It's not pretty.
No, I'm
It's
used to
rough.
being like,
Yeah.
See, I struggle with the pretty, and I did modern, which
Oh.
you want to see someone dance ugly, this girl right here.
But with good technique.
Yes.
I am technically ugly.
Technically perfect, ugly.
Yes.
Oh,
No,
no,
I'm
I'm
sure
sure.
And finally, most recent knit of shame.
I actually just handed it into the publisher yesterday. So we're gonna go with it because I calculated it, but I didn't swatch one of the stitch patterns, and I thought it would work with an even number, and it needed to work with an odd number, so I needed to add a stitch into that panel. But I had just done 5 inches of 1x1 rib on size 3 needles with fingering the yarn. I was like hell, I'm ripping that out. So I just like laddered up a stitch in the center, and you can totally tell. You can totally tell. They were like, "Oh, that's a pretty." I'm like, "Don't look, don't. That's not an accent. That's a mistake. Just please look away. It's fine. It's fine."
I'm sure you're the only one that sees it though.
We all are the only one who sees it.
Yeah.
That mistake will always stare you in the face every time, and
Yeah.
nobody else can see it. But
That's
we
bad.
are.
Remember the first sweater I made that I like split a stitch right, and it was right here. It was
Of
dead
course.
smack center,
Of
and I would put
course.
it on, and I was like, it was dead smack center, and it was like I'd already bound off.
I do
Stitched
remember.
it,
I could
rocked
see
it.
that one.
Yeah, you could see it. Everyone could see it. I never wore it.
Do you still have it?
No,
Okay. I was going to say, cut it,
it gives me anxiety, and I can't do it.
cut it, open it.
See, you say
Wrap-
that like it's
wrap
like
it.
a nothing.
Because I mean, you're not wearing it.
See, but and this is why I just need to take one of Bristol's class.
I do. I really
I'm just gonna
want.
take one of your.
I'm pretty
classes.
fearless with my fabric because it's
Yeah.
just like either I'm gonna rip it out or try this, and I'll try this first. So I cut my fabric a lot.
I should do that.
That is actually. I feel like we could just keep talking on and on about so many things.
Yeah.
But that is all the questions we have for you today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sitting
Thank you
down with
Yes.
us.
so much. It's been such a pleasure to get to spend time with you here in Edinburgh.
Look out also
Edinburgh.
for that's how you say it. And look out for all of her books that are coming out, like little like additional things that are
my
coming out
little,
in
my little
Lineback.
knitting zoo books.
Yeah, awesome.
Wildlife Fact Files.
So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you soon with a new episode.
Bye.
Bye.
We do also post outtakes at the end.
Okay.
We try not to do ones that embarrass you.
Yeah,
It's
it's just
fine.
embarrass
Go
us.
ahead and do
We
that.
just try to embarrass ourselves, which
I
doesn't take any effort
honestly
whatsoever.
like making.
These weirds don't come out. They're kind of stuck here forever.
These are perma weirds.
Perma-weird.
Perma weirds.
Your first question.
Come back and groom.
Groom me.
Like a tiny monkey.
That's going in.
All right.
Get the alcohol in.
I'm gonna do one really gross snort. I
Do
apologize.
it.
Snort it up.
Can you
If it-
go in the outtakes, please?
Yes.
If it, I'm going to say Edinburgh again. And everyone's- Edinburgh.
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 Just say Edinburgh.
Edinburgh.
Burra.
Burra.
Not Burrug. Burra. And with a burra.
Burra.
You can
Like it's
say
spelled
bra,
Edin,
bra,
B-U-R-A.
Bra.
Edinburgh.
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 You got that.